You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. Welcome back. You're watching KUTV Primetime News, and remember you can stream this live broadcast on your Facebook app through our Facebook page at KUTV Kenya. Now, when it comes to a pandemic, human beings find themselves battling not just the disease, but its effects as well. This is the case with COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused massive loss of lives, livelihoods, and resources in general. We brought you to speed with the happenings here in the country and in the Western world, primarily the US and the UK. And it's time for us now to look keenly at what some of our African brethren have been handling the pandemic, and as always, the lessons we can learn from them. Joining us is John Nate, who works with Ghana's National Disaster Management Organization. He is an exercise and regenerative health scientist and advocate on non-communicable diseases. He is also studying Masters of Science, Sports and Exercise Science here in Kenya, in Kenyatta University. Mr. John Nate will be helping us understand the structures laid down and the policies implemented in Ghana, both by the government and the common mwananchi, as far as lessening the severe effects of the pandemic is concerned. Karibu sana, Bwana John.
Asante.
Did I say Nate well?
Yeah, you said it well. It's Nate.
Nate?
Yeah.
Okay. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
I was asking Bwana Nate here how long he has been in Kenya, and he has been in Kenya for a while now. So he's been able to study some of our behavior, just as what you would do if you travel to another country. And now, as we begin, I would want us to see and go on from that place when we first heard of the COVID-19 pandemic. And 3 stages were key in terms of how we were supposed to combat the spread of the COVID-19, which is testing, tracing, and treating. How was this 3T approach handled in your country, in Ghana?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to say hi to all my friends, both here and in Ghana. Actually, COVID came at a time, I think, no country was really prepared for it. It came like an armed robber, and Definitely. It really affected lives. But we had our first case, 2 cases, on the 12th of March 2020. In fact, before that, we saw it coming. It was spreading like wildfire. So our government was able to put in some modalities with regard to when it hit, how it will go about it. Truly, on that date, we had it. And government did its best to make sure that it did not spread in the country. So in the 3rd week of March, there was a lockdown, and then especially within Greater Accra region, that is the capital, and then Kumasi, where cases were reported. And it was so effective, but actually it affected lives, a lot of lives, because people cannot go to market. My place, for example, was not on a lockdown, but most market women moved to a place called Ashaiman to buy their wares to sell. But because of that, the lockdown, now they couldn't go. So it was tough, but government was able to do that, and it actually helped with the spread. All
right. And as you talk about lockdown, and the term lockdown and curfew are closely related during this particular period, because they, in most countries, went hand in hand, where the country would lock down some of the areas and still have curfews from particular time to a particular time. How were the curfews over there compared to over here in this particular country?
Yes. For us in Ghana, we had lockdowns, but there was no curfew.
Okay.
Look, because of the structure of our economy, a curfew would have been deadly, because we have the night economy running. Most people get their food from vendors and others in the evenings, and so if there should be a curfew, it have been disastrous. But what government did with the lockdown, which I think was very good, was they closed down the markets, like here, Get Right, where you see a lot of people. And then they set up satellite markets. They use football fields, churches, open places to make sure the protocols are observed. And I think it worked very well.
And was in all that drama that happened, because it must be drama from moving people from this place to another place, and of course involving the security agencies, if I'm right, you will tell me. And of course, it's important for me to ask at this point, was brutal force used, or were people just being talked to move from here to here?
A little of brutal force
Okay.
on people who decide not to wear masks. The face masks we wear. Is some people still decided that they will go out without wearing. And a little force was used to make sure they did the right thing.
Right.
Some were made to sweep gutters and dredge gutters or sweep dirty places, pick rubbers as little punishment. And I think it was not that much.
You actually have such punishment in your country?
Of course, we did.
Now, something important you mentioned before I forget. Now, you mentioned satellite markets that you had. With example of Githurai market, we have people the other place was locked down temporarily, and people were dispersed into satellite kind of operational centers. Is there chances that there was not enough area for everyone in the big markets to occupy in the satellite markets?
Exactly. Some of the sellers complain about missing their customers because probably you have been selling at a particular place and all your customers are aware that they can meet you here. And because of COVID, you have been moved like 3-4 kilometers away. And you know, this is Africa. Communication is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
So people complain of low patronage, and some also complain of losing their wares to because they gone bad because they were not able to sell. And I think it happened. It happened.
Definitely.
Very, very unfortunate.
And as that continue to happen, generally the citizens of the country, and not just in Ghana, in Africa, due to such movement of people and curtailing of some of what has been happening in terms of business, led to people having lesser income. How did this affect the people, and how did the government come in also to cushion the people? Because people still had to buy food, people had to pay bills, water, electricity bills. How did the government come in now to cushion the people to make sure they are comfortable in this space?
Yeah, I can say our government did well in that direction. Because during the lockdown, from the time of the lockdown, in fact, Christmas, there was free water, free electricity.
What do you mean free?
Totally free to the low economic areas. And even the high economic areas, people who consume, they have their bills reduced drastically. In fact, for water, it was free. And then also government shared food items. And then cooked food, both cooked food and food items were shared. In fact, churches came in, chiefs came in. In fact, what I can commend Ghana for fight for COVID-19, against COVID-19 is it was nationally attacked from all sorts, all corners of the country. Everybody want to be part of it. So ordinary citizens see their friends not in mask and they caution them to make sure they do the right thing. Because COVID, you cannot tell who have it and who is not having it. I can also recommend the churches. Some gave their facilities out to be used for those who have to be isolated, and I think it was well done. Yeah, it was well done.
And I'm glad you're mentioning citizens in this particular mix. Now, here in the country, we have different parts that have been affected by famine from time to time. And what happens is that citizens come in and they come through for other citizens. And of course, in your case, of course, as you mentioned, we had citizens coming through and helping the people who are kind of less fortunate. Is this happening till now? Because humans are known for getting tired of doing a few things here and there.
Yeah, it's still happening. I forgot, but I think few people are still supporting, especially people who went through COVID, who were tested positive and they were treated. And they helped them to get out of that stigmatization, and also they encourage them, motivate them that COVID is not the end of life. You had COVID, you recover. Some people actually were rejected by their families because of COVID, but others went in to make sure they were supported and given whatever necessary to keep them going. Yes, I can mention some few names. Our former president's brother, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, he helped. And then I can mention, despite group of companies, I can mention Honorable Kennedy Japan. I think he is an MP in Ghana. I can mention a darling boy of Ningo Pram. That is my constituency. Honorable Michael Tetekwete, my boss. In fact, they all came from different angles to make sure that those who needed help got some form of help.
Yes. And now the other question closely related to that is the government still active in the process of providing relief to people who might be going through a hard time at this particular time? Was it a one-off thing, or is it a continuous process as we continue to battle COVID-19 even now?
Yeah, we still have some positive cases. As at yesterday, when I checked, our active cases was 1,500 and something, even this morning as I checked. But what is happening now is that government has set up an active lines where if you have any challenge and it's due to COVID, you can just call and there will be rapid response. The only thing government did which made us disappointed was when last year was election year, we voted last year. So after enjoying all the free electricity, free water, all the free things, they only come this year to put some taxes to recover, and the citizens are not happy with that.
My question is, just before you go very far, because you're going to come back to elections, which I'm very passionate about, your elections that just happened late last year. Now, but these taxes, were they to pay back the amount of money used for campaigns or what?
Not campaigns actually, but actually it's like we were credited the bills. We were giving on credit, and now they have put taxes to recover. So we are not happy with it. I can say we are not happy with it. But, well, these are tough times, and we have to bear to keep our country going.
Definitely, definitely. Just before we go to elections now, the head of state, as the coronavirus pandemic continued to persist, your head of state directed the Minister of Finance to write a proposal to the Parliament on the coronavirus alleviation program, which is supposed to cushion businesses and the sources of livelihoods for people in Ghana. Now, in any country, in any nation, and of course, mostly in Africa, the SMEs really hold a key part of the economy. How was this affected, and are the SMEs picking up right now?
Yes, I can say that policy helped a lot, because, and it was simplified in the way that you can apply from anywhere. Yes, you don't have to go to any office to get a form. Through your mobile phone, you can apply, and the response is also through your phone. And people were giving from $100 onwards, based on they assess your business and the kind of services you give and the capacity of your work base. They did that to make sure that people don't lay their workers off. And I think it was done very well. Though, you know, not government cannot do everything 100%, but in general, it was done very well. Because I can see, so few people actually, let me say, lost their jobs. Those who were not going to work, only that salaries were slashed, and you know, but it was not for comfort, you know, it was for survival. So at least it's better than none. So it really helped businesses. Currently, I can see after elections, we are going through some crisis, and we hope to come out of it. Yes, it is not only post-election crisis, but I know COVID crisis also is part.
Definitely. The next question I have for you is connected to cities, really. And when you were talking about food and other needs and the salary cuts that people had to go through, here in Nairobi, the first thing you think about is rent, which is very key. If you go to any Nairobian and talk about the amount of money they get, the first thing they talk about is rent. How is the situation in the people living in Accra in terms of people who lost their jobs and others who had salary cuts, others their businesses went down? Did anybody step in to make sure that you know, the rent amounts were reduced?
It happened. I think at a point in time, I heard the Landlords Association slashing their rents and even giving some on credit for some number of months.
Okay.
Because they got to know, well, the people have been paying the rents and now they are not working. What can we do to support? And that announcement was in the right direction. But also government came to their aid. Even those who were selling water, people sell water as business. Well, when government was giving free water they provided them the water to just give out, but they were still compensated for using their facilities to let people get free water. So on rents, government actually pleaded with the landlords, and in some cases, they were slashed, and some were even given on credit to jobs keep up. And I think it was in the right direction.
So it really worked?
It worked.
But
not 100%,
not
but
100%,
it worked.
definitely. Yeah. But it considerably worked in a huge...
It worked. It worked, yes.
Okay. Now, let's go to the elections now. And last year you had a heated elections that was between Nana Akufo of NPP and John Dramani of NDC. One is the incumbent president and the other one is former president. So this must have been a heated kind of elections. And of course, I assume also the campaigns were really heated, seeing that the results also were just, it was a narrow defeat between the two candidates. And how did you, great people of Ghana, manage to have campaigns and, you know, that election vibe in that particular place, yet keeping people very safe from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, in fact, during the electioneering time, we started well with online campaigns, Zoom launching of manifestos. But along the line, the ruling government go astray to the rules after they had their parliamentary primaries, and there were so many gatherings. So the other political parties also say, if the ruling government can go astray to the rules, we can also do. And it started. So actually, we were doing better before the heated campaign started. And after the elections, our active cases rose to, in fact, it rose to a number we didn't expect. But government quickly arrested the situation with some forms of protocols to make sure that now, and currently, because at a point in time we were recording more like 700, 800 cases, like three to a month after the elections, and we got very scared that, but later government put in measures to make sure that contact tracing was very effective, and currently, I think we are going down with our active cases, and it is very good. Not only government, but I think the citizens also put in a lot of work because they wanted the country to be free from this deadly virus so that life can go back to normal. Yeah.
All right. As we wind up, we cannot talk about COVID-19 and fail to talk about vaccinations. We have seen a whole business going around getting vaccinations from Russia, from India, from the UK, and Africa. Here we are. Can't we have vaccines of our own? Don't we have scientists who can actually go into laboratories and make vaccines of our own? Or don't we have enough funding? What's the problem?
When it comes to development of vaccine, in fact, let me commend this university for one thing. This university believes in collaboration and working together. I think if you look at our economies and the money involved in coming out with vaccines, it will be a challenge to individual countries. So we as Africans must come together, maybe set up a lab somewhere, a continental lab, bring in our best brains, even those in the Western world who are doing well. I heard in some countries, even the vaccines they develop, some African doctors and others were part of the team that developed those vaccines. We must find means of bringing them home into that big area of study. Let us join hands financially, intellectually, so that we can also do something on our own. We are capable if we come together. What is only preventing us is our ability to come together quickly to make sure we get things doing. And I'll call on all the presidents and governments of this dear continent that if we come together, there's nothing we cannot do, because we have every resource we need to get this government and this continent growing. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming through to KUTV and giving us an insight on what's happening in your country as you continue to deliberate and see what's happening in ours and how we can exchange ideas to make Africa a great continent as we continue to battle this pandemic. It's great to have you tonight.
Thank you very much. And my last greeting to all Kenyans and my family in Ghana, my wife and my kids, my good friend Maxwell, who is here with me, and all Ghanaians in Kenya. I want to say Karibu in Nyechumi.
Nyechumi.
Yes, that is a local dialect. That one, those in Ghana will understand.
All right. That was John Nate working with Ghana's National Disaster Management Organization, and here to tell us what has been happening and what is still happening in Ghana. The reason why we have this particular interview is for us to just look at what our neighbors are doing and what fellow Africans are doing. One wise man said that you cannot just look at your own, you need to look at what other people are doing and see how that can be put together even as we continue to live in this global village. We shall be having such discussions such as this to help us understand how we continue battling not just the COVID-19 pandemic, but any other problems that we might face as a country, as a continent, as a world at large. We take a short break. We'll be right back with more. Don't go anywhere.